Hi everyone, in this video I'll be talking about tie-dye, a little of its history, and showing you some different techniques. Tie-dyeing is a process of folding, twisting, pleating, and or crumpling fabric before binding with string or more commonly now rubber bands. Once bound, dye is then applied to the fabric, creating different designs. We're going to start now with the process of tie-dyeing. The first thing you need to do is prepare your surface. Make sure you cover your work area with a plastic tablecloth, or you can even use trash bags. It's also a good idea to have some paper towels close by to clean up any spills or drips. I also like to use a pan or shallow tray to hold my shirts while dyeing. It helps keep the dye contained better and off the floors. I have bought a kit from the store to tie-dye with. If you've done the same, you'll just follow the directions on the package to prepare the dye. In my kit, the bottles already contain dye and I just need to add water and shake to mix, which I'm doing now. Before you start using the dye, make sure to put on gloves to protect your hands from staining. Once your dye has been prepared, we'll start working on the fabric we want to dye. You can tie-dye wet or dry fabric. Wet fabric allows the dye to move better through the fabric, but dry will create crisper coloring. I'm starting with some damp white shirts because I want the colors to blend more. Another note about fabric: natural fibers like cotton will hold dye better than synthetic fabric. You also want to make sure it has not been washed with fabric softener or dried with dryer sheets. For my first shirt, I'm going to attempt to make something similar to the shibori method. For this style, you want to twist the fabric as if you're trying to wring the water out and then coil it into a spiral. You'll then place a few rubber bands to hold it together. For this style, I'm going to use one color of dye in a dark blue. Once I've finished applying the dye, I'm going to place it in a gallon-sized Ziploc to set. You can also wrap it in plastic wrap too. You just want to make sure it's sealed and covered so it does not dry out while the dye is setting. For my second shirt, I'm going to try a modification of the spiral by adding black to create the spider effect. To create the spiral pattern, you'll lay your fabric or shirt flat and then pinch where you want the center of the spiral to be, and then while still holding what you pinch, twist to create a rounded spiral. You'll then wrap the outside bits around and apply 3 rubber bands, creating 6 pie shapes. When you apply the dye, you'll add alternating colors in each pie. I have 3 colors here, so I'm going to do pink, teal, and then purple. You'll then flip it over and apply the same colors to the corresponding pies. The last step is to add black dye to one side, and you'll add it all the way across, and then bag it up. For my last shirt, I'm going to do the crinkle or crumple method. This one is a favorite of mine because it's super easy and still creates some great looking shirts. I usually make this one last because I use it to clean up any dye I have left in my pan. To make this design, you'll lay your fabric flat and then crumple it up into a ball and place rubber bands around at random. You can then add dye wherever you want and in any pattern you want. Once enough dye has been added, this one is bagged too. We want to let the shirts sit for 6 to 8 hours to give the dye enough time to saturate and set. While the dye is setting, let's talk a little more about tie-dye. Tie-dye became popular here in the United States in the 1960s and 70s, but it has been around much longer. In fact, earliest examples in Peru can be dated 500 to 810 AD. It has been found in Asia with shibori that originated in Japan. It has been practiced there since the 8th century. Shibori includes many resist techniques with stitching and another where the fabric is twisted around a core of rope or wood and then bound tightly. It has also been found in Indonesia, India, and Thailand. Tie-dye also dates back centuries in West Africa, and you can find indigo dye pits in Nigeria. The shirts are now ready for rinsing. You want to put your gloves back on, and I'm going to rinse these in the sink under cool water. You can just cut the rubber bands off and rinse until the water is basically running clear off the shirts. Now that the fabric has been rinsed, we'll wash and dry and then see how they look. You do want to make sure to wash your tie-dyed fabric separately from other clothes for the first few times they are washed, just in case they may stain other fabrics at first. Here are my finished shirts. We have the one with the attempted shibori pattern. It turned out okay, but not a great example of the art. Next we have the spider spiral. And the crumple. Now I'll show you how to fold a few more styles. This one is the bullseye. You will pinch the shirt where you want the center of your bullseye to be and pull it straight up. You'll now place rubber bands every few inches. You'll add a different color of dye in each section created by the rubber bands. The next is the regular spiral. Just like the spider method, you'll pinch and twist and then add rubber bands to create pie shapes and apply dye in alternating colors. To get this. Lastly, this is the double spiral. You want to fold the shirt over on the diagonal, then you'll pinch and twist around and apply the rubber bands and pie shapes on this one too. You'll apply the dye the same as well in alternating colors. To get this design. Which one do you like best?